How realistic are hopes for the current round of ceasefire talks coming through and resulting in a much-needed end to hostilities? Many have called this round a do-or-die of sorts. Negotiators are heading back to Cairo this week to try and iron out details of a deal. The current proposal, put together by the US, Egypt and Qatar over several weeks in July, is said to be the strongest form of the deal to date, and is also said to be tailored to the demands of both Hamas and Israel. Israel is reportedly now on board, but Hamas has said in public statements that it will not accept the pact. There remains at least a couple of big sticking points to a deal coming through. One, Hamas and Israel disagree on the number of hostages to be released from the enclave. It's unclear what number is included in the bridge proposal or how many are still alive. Both also disagree over Israel's presence in both the Philadelphia corridor on the Egypt-Gaza border and in a main thoroughway that leads to northern Gaza. Israel has said it wants to maintain its position in both places to ensure Hamas cannot smuggle goods into Gaza through Egypt and reposition its strongholds. On Tuesday, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken had called the deal currently on offer probably the best, maybe last opportunity.
There's the fierce urgency of now. That's what I think we're all feeling, and we do see this as the best opportunity to finally get this over the finish line. We'll never give up on it, but the challenge is the longer this goes on, the more, again, hostages will suffer and possibly perish, and the more other things happen that could make things impossible. So that's why we're so intensely focused on getting this done and getting it done now.
The fallout of the eventuality of a deal not coming through has already been indicated as severe. Already Israel and Hezbollah strikes, counter-strikes are getting more intense by the day. A direct confrontation between Israel and Tehran simmers and threatens to boil over. A fresh threat from Iran on Wednesday spelled out its eagerness to inflict maximum damage.
The time is decided by us. The waiting period for our response might be longer. For now, the Zionists should wait in limbo, in fear of Iran or the resistance front, or the resistant front's possible attack and its dimensions. They must wait for our well-calculated and precise blows at the right time.
Previous efforts to reach a ceasefire deal in spring and again in May this year have broken down. Israel and Hamas have layered on new conditions that the other side was unwilling to discuss or accept. Behind the scenes, officials are scrambling to find a way to reach a deal. Hope is fading, and it's fading fast. Retired Lieutenant Colonel Daniel L. Davis is a military expert and host of Daniel Davis Deep Dive on YouTube. He's now joining us from Starling, Virginia. Colonel Davis, good to see you and welcome. Is our analysis that the ceasefire talks and hostage deal in the Israel and Gaza war is on the verge of collapse have some substance in it?
You know, I mean, it's something that anyone who cares about humanity really earnestly hopes for. But the problem with this is, or there's a number of problems, but primarily is that both sides have some motivation to get something different. And both sides want more than I think the other side is willing to give. And then you have the United States that doesn't seem to be in the driver's seat and seems to be more in a reactionary mode. So I think the combination makes it increasingly unlikely that it's actually going to happen. And I think primarily that's because of the Israeli side. I think too many in their camp want to see a military success and a military victory and are concerned and actually outright fear that a ceasefire that doesn't achieve their military goals could put them at future risk. At least that's what their thinking is. And so those are actually working against any kind of a ceasefire, even though many in Israel actually want it, and certainly those family members of the hostages.
Colonel Davis, the war is unrelenting. Now the IDF has issued fresh evacuations on Deir al-Balah. Some critics are warning that Israel persists in strangling civilians in narrow places. And with that being said, Jordan has also warned of dangerous deterioration in occupied West Bank. What's your brief assessment of all these latest developments?
It's very concerning to me because, I mean, you're talking, we're now getting amazingly close to the 1 year mark of this war, and there's no evidence that it's going to end anytime soon. In fact, there's more evidence that it's going to expand. I mean, the ideal would be that we get to a ceasefire and then get into some kind of negotiated settlement that would end the war, and I'm certainly 100% in support of that. But the problem is that the evidence on the ground and the things you can physically see make it look more like Israel is preparing to expand the war into Hezbollah in the southern part of Lebanon. And certainly there are many, and it was actually in a Newsweek article just late last week where some of the Israeli officials openly said that war with Iran was inevitable, quote, and that they wanted the United States to join in with that. So there's elements within Israel that are at cross purposes, some wanting peace, some wanting expanded war. And again, the United States is kind of in the middle trying to figure out what to do. Overall, it's just not a very positive and optimistic situation.
All right, I've been talking to Lieutenant Colonel Daniel L. Davis, who's retired. He's also a military expert and host of Daniel Davis Deep Dive on YouTube. Colonel Davis, thank you for talking to us today.
Always my pleasure. Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.